two playoff picks at the beginning of the training camp, the New York Giants and Cincinnati Bengals now find themselves in the cellar of their own division. New York dropped their season opener in Dallas 19-3 and couldn't bounce back at home next week, losing to Detroit 24-10. Cincinnati lost two games both at home, getting shut out by the Baltimore Ravens and only mustering 9 points against Houston. Guys, which one of these teams has a better chance of salvaging their season after a horrible start? And before we begin, we got two new Hawks making their Hawk TV debut. An extra point, Sam Pierce, defensive lineman for our very own Monmouth University football team, and Glenn the Negris from WMCX upstairs at the radio station. How you guys doing? Great to have you guys on the show.
I'm good. Thanks for having me. To answer your question, when it comes to the New York Giants and the Cincinnati Bengals, who's more likely to salvage their season? The answer is really no. I don't see how either of these teams can make the playoffs at this point, starting 0-2. Of course, the Giants and the Bengals really struggling to get any points on the board so far this season. But if I had to choose, I would go for the New York Giants just because they have Eli Manning and Cincinnati Bengals have Andy Dalton. Andy Dalton worlds, he's playing the worst football I've ever seen any quarterback play. He's only completing 54% of his passes. He has no touchdown passes, and he has 4 interceptions. So that's just no way for the Cincinnati Bengals to win. They haven't even scored a touchdown yet in 2 games. Yeah. At least the Giants have 1.
Yeah. Pretty much.
I definitely think the New York Giants, personally, because they have a championship caliber defense. That defense is championship ready. They have championship receivers, and honestly, it's just going to come down to the O-line play. But there's little things you can do with that. You can keep tight ends in and send running backs to chip those guys on the edges. There's more game plan stuff that McAdoo can do to kind of support Flowers and support that offensive line. Because if they can give Eli Manning time, Eli Manning will prosper. We've seen it, 2 Super Bowl rings, he will do it. So I think the Giants definitely have a chance. That offense just has to get on track. They got to help the O-line however they can.
And you mentioned the key thing right here for the New York Giants. The offensive line has just been terrible. Bobby Hart and Eric Flowers have really struggled, not only these last 2 games, but last season as well. And we talk about last season, how bad the offensive line was. This is still a team that went 11-5 and made the playoffs. The Bengals last year went 6-9-1 and missed the playoffs. And what's interesting to me about the Bengals, and we alluded to this before we went on the air, Marvin Lewis is not a good coach at all. He should have been fired 2 years ago after that Steeler playoff debacle when they lost their composure. Marvin Lewis is not a disciplinarian. That's a really important trait for a head coach to have, and the Bengals just don't have that right now.
I don't think they believe in Marvin Lewis's system anymore. I think it's at the point, it's just at the end of the road. Everybody's just waiting for it to be over. There's a lot of talent in Cincinnati. That defense is also pretty good, but Andy Dalton's just playing terribly right now, and I don't think the play calling is helping them either. I don't like how they play. They're not running it as much as they used to in years past. They have Giovanni Bernard, Jeremy Hill. They need to run the ball more to set up Andy Dalton. Andy Dalton is not going to be the guy who's going to throw it 30 times a game and win it. That's not what he is.
Go ahead.
Another thing about the Cincinnati Bengals, they play in a very, very tough conference. The AFC is much tougher than the NFC. So if I look at the Giants, I say if they can get a little bit on a roll and the offensive line could just be below average, just not terrible, just be a little below average, give Eli Manning a little bit of time to get the balls to Odell and Shep and Ingram and Marshall. He has some talent on the offensive side. Absolutely. So that's why I believe personally that the Giants have a better chance to get back in this playoff picture. One reason because the AFC is so tough and the NFC is really not that tough.
Absolutely. And when it comes down to the Giants, Odell's going to get healthy because he's still not all the way healthy. You can see it out there. But when he gets going and he starts breaking the roof off of that offense, I think that's going to help the team get going. You have to build morale in that O-line. I played offensive line here. I played in high school. It's all about morale. Once guys don't believe in themselves, it's all downhill from there. They're unsure of themselves. They're unsure of their kick step. There's no way they're going to protect them. They've got to start building some morale. They got to get some things going. I think they need to play like a below-average subpar team to really get their confidence back going for them to really get on track.
Yeah, for sure. And I look at the Cincinnati Bengals. There's so many wrong things with that franchise. Looking at the talent, they don't have much talent as the Giants do. You look at personality decision. Vontae's perfect. He got suspended for 6 games. Constantly suspension. Marvin Lewis is not a good coach. In 15 years in the NFL, you made the playoffs 7 times. 0 playoffs.
0 wins.
So the coach got to change. They need a new offensive coordinator to call plays. He's not a good play caller. They need a new quarterback. They just need a new everything. I like the Giants because, number one, you got stars. Odell Beckham, just wait until his ankle gets right. He's a superstar wide receiver. Brandon Marshall's not the same receiver that he used to be, but he can still put production on the field. He can still give you a touchdown or so a game and still give you wides. He can yards. He can still move the chains. Sterling Shepard as well, too. I just think the Giants, they have less fixing to do, and the Cincinnati Bengals, they have more fixing to do. So I'm going with the Giants. I agree with both of you guys. Well, we'll be right back here with the extra point right here on Hawk TV, channel 12.1.